Hi, my name is Casey Donnelly and I'm the Communications and Safe Sport Coordinator for Bowls Canada. I invite you to join me as I get to know Canada's national squad members through a virtual chat. In this next interview with a national team member, I get the chance to chat with Greg Wilson, a member of the senior squad.
Greg Wilson. I've been playing bowls for 22 years now. I've been on the national team on and off since 2007. And right now I'm playing second on the triples and second on the men's fours.
Okay, cool. And how did you first get into bowls?
So my dad started up his own business when I was 17 years old. And he was renting an office space, which was shared space with a guy named Dave Burrows, who was a Canadian champion a bunch of times over. So my dad made fun of him for playing an old man sport, and Dave said, "Come out and try it, and then you can make fun of me all you want." So my dad brought my brother and I out, and I fell in love with the game right away.
That's really cool. Did it take you some time to get good, or were you pretty good from the start?
No, I was terrible at first. The first toucher I was hooked, but I know playing districts and stuff after that, we got smoked for years and years before I started realizing that I had any kind of talent. So definitely a work in progress, and we're still working on it to this day, but definitely improved over the years.
Fair enough. And what are your goals for your bowls development?
I just want to stay on the national team as long as I can. There's a lot of young talent that is knocking on the door right now, so I'm doing everything I can to kind of edge those guys out as long as I can, and hopefully go out and represent Canada sometime soon.
Nice. That's cool. And why do you love the sport?
There's a bunch of reasons why I love the people. Every year we go out to the Canadian Championships if we're lucky enough, and you run into the same guys all the time. So there's a huge family atmosphere, which I love. The competition's unbelievable. It's pretty low impact, so you can do it for years and years. And it's cool a lot of the clubs, you'll have 3 or 4 generations of the family all out there playing and competing against each other, which there aren't many sports that you can say that for. So
True.
Just a few things that I love it for sure.
That's awesome. And what do you currently do for work?
Right now I'm working for a surveying company. We do a lot of pipeline construction. So I'm usually out in the field for 3 weeks at a time and then get a week off, but out in the middle of nowhere surveying pipeline construction for the most part.
That's pretty cool. And you like it?
I do, I love it.
How did you get into that?
I moved out here from Ontario 7 years ago. Dropped off like 100 resumes in Calgary, had no plan of what I was going to end up doing, and Midwest was the first company to give me a call, and fell in love with the job. So I kind of lucked out there for sure.
Awesome. That works out.
Yeah.
Do you play any other sports?
Not anymore. When I was younger, I was pretty heavy into swimming.
Okay.
Swam for my city when I was a kid and played soccer for the rep team for a couple years when I was younger. But once lawn bowling kind of came onto the scene, that took over, and I never got into golf for that reason. When the boys were out golfing, I was out at lawn bowling tournaments and stuff. So
fair enough.
It's all lawn bowling all the time when I can now.
Nice. And do you see yourself like sticking with bowls for a long time?
As long as I can stand up, I'll be playing bowls.
Nice. How important has it been for your bowls development having Derek Dillon as a coach?
Before Derek and I hooked up, I was playing with my dad a lot back in Ontario, which was awesome to be able to go out and spend the weekends with my dad and play bowls like weekend in, weekend out with dad was awesome. But as far as player development, when you're playing with your dad, I thought I was always right, and he thought he was always right. So to now be playing with Derek, I've got a lot of respect for what he's done in the sport over the years, and I know he's a positive influence on my game. But the first time I played against him, I actually didn't like him very much. We had a game that got pretty heated, and he rubbed me the wrong way the first year, so I was looking forward to kicking his butt the following year. But just the way things worked out, we got paired up, and it's been awesome ever since. Chemistry's awesome, and he knows a lot about the game and how to reset the guys when things aren't going well. So he's been a huge help for sure.
Cool. And have you noticed any significant differences playing in different provinces?
Jumping to Alberta from Ontario was a huge difference. The condition of the greens is very similar, which was nice. Burlington, which was my home club, has phenomenal greens, and the Calgary club now is very similar to what Burlington was when I was there. So that part's been an easy transition, but Ontario, the population of bowlers in Ontario is huge compared to everywhere else. So the competition that we were experiencing on the weekends in Ontario, there's nothing like that anywhere else in the country.
Okay.
So I miss living in Ontario for that reason, because I could go every weekend to Niagara Falls or to Burlington or to the Toronto area, and there'd be a high quality tournament to be played.
Right.
And in Alberta, other than the provincial championships, we just don't see that competition. So
Okay.
there's definitely in province to province.
Cool. Good to know. I also heard that you played in the majors at your home club of Burlington. How was that experience?
It was awesome. I hadn't been back onto the greens in 6 years since I moved out to Alberta. So when I found out that the Canadians were going to be there, there was nothing that was going to stop me from going and playing back in Burlington. That's where it all started for me. I have all kinds of love for the Burlington club and the people there. And yeah, I wanted to so bad to stand on top of the podium because I know there was a bunch of people there that were excited to have me back and were rooting me on, but fell just short, and the Patulis had our number in that last game, so settled for silver at Burlington. But yeah, it was real special to be back playing on the greens.
Nice, that's awesome. Have you seen any positive changes at your club or province since you started playing? Or any of them?
Actually, yeah, just a few years ago, the city wanted the space that the old Calgary Lawn Bowling Club was at, and the greens were suffering at that point. So when the city came in and said they wanted that space and they wanted to move the club elsewhere, we got really lucky because our greenskeeper takes it very, very seriously, and he was allowed or able to come into a club that hadn't been constructed yet and start with the greens from the ground up. So I hope that we get to have a provincial or a Canadian championship out here soon to expose everybody to what's happened in Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
But a huge positive change from what was going on here before to what we have now.
Nice. If you could tell younger you a piece of bowls advice, what would it be? That's a tricky one.
Stop throwing so much runners, probably. Young guys in the game, all they want to do is drive, and I was guilty of it, and I thought it was always the go-to to just smash into it. And I wish I'd spent more time developing my finesse game as a kid and then let the drive come after that. But yeah, no regrets, but if I could go back and tell myself to focus a little more on the draw and stop driving so much, that would be what I'd say for sure.
Fair enough. Is there anything you'd want to say to or share with the bowls community in general?
I just hope we all get back out there soon. I miss everybody. So I hope next season brings us all back together and we can do it safely. And huge thanks to Bowls Canada for making the right decisions. I know there's a lot of people out there that think it's just a cough or just the flu or whatever, and people are getting sick and dying. So it's a tough call that you guys had to make, but appreciate you for making the right one for sure.
All right, well, that's all my real questions. Thank you so much for coming to chat with me.
You bet. Thanks for having me.